Wow, what a crowd. Woo! This is awesome. I have to admit, I so loved coaching my Marine and improving her map reading skills. But I will tell you, if you haven't worked with Tanya, we're all going to be working for Tanya one day. We're all going to be working for Tanya one day. She is amazing. What a wonderful crowd. And, you know, I'm Ann Holton's husband. That's the most important thing about me. I was so glad to get here in time to hear Ann talk and see, wasn't that an amazing, honey, group of the school board candidates? I mean, my wife Ann has always talked about school board as this great labor of love. So here's what I want to do quick, because you got a bunch of great speakers. I want to do a thank you. I want to talk about women, local, energy. So thank you first. Thank you for helping me get back to the Senate. It feels existential there right now. We were having a debate on the floor today and a vote about whether the president can just go to war on a whim or whether the president must come to Congress. In the Senate, 50 senators said, you got to come to us. 40 said, you can go to the war with anybody, however you want. Because we needed 60 votes, we couldn't get it passed, but we showed the administration that a majority believe you got to come to Congress. These are the kinds of issues we're grappling with every day. And so by putting me back in the job at a time when the Senate is needed, when we do our best work to try to check the president, I just really appreciate it. And as Tanya said, we had a goal. As soon as I realized who my opponent was, I sort of thought I might win. So we changed our goal from my win to my win was winning House seats. And we worked so hard in the coordinated campaign for Abigail and Jennifer Wexton and Elaine Luria. But we also worked hard for Vanjie Williams and Jennifer Lewis and Leslie Coburn. Great candidates. Great candidates. And even though Tanya remembers the race got called at 7:01, but there was drama all night long. When it got called at 7:01, we still were sweating until midnight because we were so psyched about these dynamic women. And what an amazing thing that the three women who won, 2 of the 3 were first-time candidates. All 3 of these women, in their own different way, can look anybody in the eye and say, I know how to keep you safe. I was a prosecutor. I was a CIA analyst. I was a Navy surface ship commander. Democrats have to be able to look voters in the eye and say, I can make the economy in your community a lot stronger than the other guy. And Democrats also have to say, I can keep you safer than this knucklehead in the White House in a very dangerous world. All 3 of our winners were able to do that. So that's the thank you. Women, what an amazing women's summit this is. The energy and the vibe here is so powerful. I loved the fact that in 2017, 11 of the 15 people who flipped House seats were women. I loved the fact that in 2018, we won with these 3 dynamic women in Congress, and they're already making a mark, you know, far beyond what freshmen normally do. They're already making a great mark on their committees and in the vibe within the House caucus. And I love looking at you all and seeing the tremendous energy and excitement in this room to get more women elected. I believe what Janet said so strongly. If you look at something like the Anita Hill, Clarence Thomas hearing, or you can look at all kinds of things that happen, if you just change the composition of most of these legislative bodies from school board all the way up, so that the gender balance was what the population was, you would get better policies, more representative policies, policies that were more compassionate and truthful and dignified. And you know, there's a lot of psychology research about this. Men don't need to be encouraged as much. Men think they're great at stuff even when they're not. And so, you know, they get into races and running. And, you know, there's a lot about this that for women candidates, the network, the encouragement, knowing who to call to get advice, knowing who to call to ask about what are fundraising strategies or who do I hire to be the campaign manager is really important. So what you've done with this women's summit here at Network Nova is provide that kind of it's an infrastructure. It's kind of an emotional and practical infrastructure that will continue to pay dividends with more and more women running. So that's point 1, women. Local. I got my start as a city councilman. This year in the cycle, there's a presidential year, there's a governor's race year, there's a federal and Senate congressional year, and then there's this state candidate year where there's no top of the ticket, but this is also the year where there's the most local races, where the county races are up. Constitutional officers, boards of supervisors, school boards in the 90-plus counties in Virginia. And I got to tell you, you will make more of a mark on your community in a more tangible way in local office than in any other office you will serve in. I am a United States Senator, but if people said to me, I'm going to take away every title that you've ever had, you can only keep one, I would keep mayor. Because local office is 24/7, 365. I can recess and go home in the Senate. Local, no way. No way do you get a recess. You never go home. It's every day. But in a nation of 330 million people, where a lot of people don't believe that government by, of, and for the people can work anymore, it's the local officials who not only do the most tangible work, but you're the democracy persuaders. You can persuade people that, wow, we may be 330 million, but I can talk to my supervisor. I can talk to my city councilman. I can talk to my school board member. You make believers in democracy at the local level, unlike people at any other level. And I like the fact that here we're having a Go Local rally and you're celebrating these great local candidates. So that's point two. Last point is energy. Last point is energy. This is what we need. I'm just talking to Lowell about this right now. I went through our 4-year cycle. The good thing about this cycle, so many local races. That's fantastic. Bad thing about the cycle, lowest turnout. Lowest turnout of the 4-year cycle. Presidential turnout, big. Governor's turnout, usually pretty big. The next year is the federal year. There's a Senate race. There's congressional races. Pretty big turnout. But the 4th year, when the legislative seats are up, both houses at stake, all these local races, there's no statewide top of the ticket federal or state, and the turnout always is low. The enemy of every candidate in this room who raised their hand when Mark Keim asked them to is less their opponent, frankly, than low energy and low turnout. Every one of these candidates is better than any opponent they're matching up against on the ballot. Every last one of them. Every last one of them. But their challenge is low turnout. Their challenge is a turnout that could be in the 30s, in the low 30s. We win races with high turnout. We lose them more if the turnout is low. And that's what the problem is in 2019 that we have to solve between now and Election Day. I'm doing everything I can. I'm doing events for legislative candidates and constitutional officers and local officials. I just did an event with Andrea this week. I did an event with Hala Ayala, so doing a little bit of legislature and a little bit of board of supervisors, and we're going to do tons more. But what we all have to do is solve this energy problem, solve this turnout problem. Tanya, you with your field brain, and those of you who've done work on the field side, we really need your expertise this year to help do that. One of the ways that you solve that, as I conclude, because you got a bunch of great speakers coming after me, you solve the energy problem by just reminding people who we are and who they are. You know, just tell them we believe in climate science and they don't. We believe women get to make their own health decisions, including reproductive health decisions, and they don't. We believe in the ERA, and they don't. We believe in raising the minimum wage, and they don't. We believe in the power of labor unions, and they don't. We believe in common sense gun safety. Moms demand action, and they don't. We believe we shouldn't go to war unless Congress votes, and by their vote today, that's not what they believe. We believe the president should set an example of character and values and public service, and they don't. You just got to remind them. You just got to remind them what we believe and what they believe, and that will energize. We believe in science. We believe in facts. You know, we believe in news. I mean, there's so many things we believe in, and they don't. And they don't. So everybody run the campaign that's true to you. You be your authentic and sincere self, and that will come through and convince people. But remind them of the differences, because pundits and others like to make a lot out of the differences between Democrats. The differences between Democrats are like this. The differences between every last person who raised their hand who's running as a candidate and the folks on the other side of the aisle are like the Grand Canyon. Remind them of the differences. Run your best race. We're going to have a great night in November. Thanks so much.